Most coaches actually lose their clients before they've even started. And it's not usually because of the service that's been offered, but it's because the onboarding sucks. Think you've won, you've signed the contract, you've got the money through the door, and that's when things start to crumble, because those first 7 days are so critical. And if they are messy, confusing, and have the clients wondering why they actually purchased from you, that's going to massively ruin your reputation, severely impact the revenue that you're going to be able to make through your company. That's why you need an onboarding system that's going to blow them away from day one. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this video. If you're also looking to learn how to scale your company through systems, I've got a newsletter that will help you do that in the first 7 days of reading this. In the first link in the description, you can get it yourself. I've worked with hundreds of coaches over the last few years and saw some of the mistakes that they've made, which has led to a lot of refunds or churn inside of their company. And more often than not, it comes down to that first few days that someone is working with you. So I want to completely eliminate the possibility that someone's going to go to another person and say, I worked with them and that was terrible. We're going to break down some of the key concepts that you should be following, some of the landmines that you might run into, and also how you can solve it literally just using this video as your sort of guide as we do this. Pretty easy to see quite early on when someone signs up with you whether or not you've made the right decision. And at the very beginning, you will have buyer's anxiety when you're working with anyone. You're thinking, have I made the right decision? And is this actually going to work for me? Now, the problems then start to build when you've signed up for what you're wanting to do and you get no welcome message, you get no confirmation of the next steps. That anxiety starts to increase, thinking, have I actually made this right decision? And that's what's going to lead to refunds and churn being more likely to happen. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, because start on that level one thinking, I can just wing it all, I can give everyone a unique experience and I will do everything I possibly can to help them get the result, when they don't realize all that time that they're spending could be systemized and could be broken down into a way that actually makes sense for their clients, and keeping the personalized, but not actually spending all of that time manually filling in this information. If you watch one of my previous videos on a sort of automated client onboarding, you will be able to see that you could send a lot of these things fairly easily and completely automated that doesn't take away from the service that you're going to be providing. I'm actually going to create a full video on breaking down an onboarding and how you would actually build everything yourself using make.com and any other platform that you're using. So look out for that in the next month or so. We're going to run through an example that I actually ran through in my in-person speech that I done with the Uncommon a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about the golden egg from Harry Potter. Now, if you've ever seen Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, there's tasks that they are doing inside of what is known as the Triwizard Tournament. And if they're able to complete those tasks, they are then able to get some sort of hint or advice for what these next tasks are going to be. So this meant that by completing those, you are going to be able to get an advantage to what's happening next and a little bit of a further insight. And that's exactly what we want to do with our clients, because when Harry got that egg, he opened it up for the first time and the egg started screaming. Everyone had to cover their ears and he wasn't able to do anything about that. Now, it wasn't until later on that one of the other competitors inside of that tournament told him to open it up underneath the water. When he went to do that, there was a song that started to play, essentially giving him that advice of what was going to happen next, which allowed him to prepare for that next task, actually understand what he had to do, and meant that he was going into it with a little bit of knowledge of what those next steps were. If we're comparing this directly to what you want to do with your clients, you want to give them that egg, give them all the steps that they need in order to know that they have to open it underwater, understand the hints of what they should be taking on, and know that when they're going into that next task, they understand what you're actually giving them and what they should be doing. Now, obviously comparing this to something like Harry Potter, where there's a little bit more of life and death on the line, is a bit brutal, but this is a really good way of actually looking at your onboarding as a whole. If your clients are confused and they don't understand what's going on and they're opening up that egg and it's screaming in their face, then how are they actually supposed to get the results that you're selling them on the front end? We want to come up with a way that they're able to get that egg from when they've purchased from you. They understand every single next step. They open it up. They know what's going to happen and they're able to best prepare for that first call or whatever you're doing inside of your business. This of what you're seeing on the screen is essentially what we want to do. We want to have the client sign up, a confirmation of the purchase that they've made, clear next steps, and then quick wins for where we can get them. Because the way I like to to treat the onboarding as the sale after the sale. It gives people the expectations, the speed and the tone at which you're going to do things. It's the moment that clients often decide whether or not they're going to stay through some of the turmoil that will happen. And naturally, when you're running a business, there's going to be a lot of things that go on that you don't expect, and maybe you have to take some time away from doing certain things at certain points. So maintaining good communication with that and understanding what those next steps are allows them to realize that they're in good hands, and even if something goes a little bit astray, then you're okay. And finally, by over-delivering early, you're going to be able to guarantee a little bit of a higher retention for your refunds and a calmer delivery for yourself. Clients aren't panicking, thinking, are they actually going to get what they've paid for? You're not panicking, thinking, I'm going to have to create everything unique every single time that I'm working with someone. This can help you massively over time as you scale. Let's move on to my 4-step ladder when it comes to this. And this is the ladder that you want to be climbing inside of your automation sort of sequences to actually get to the level 4 of where we want to be. So the first one is the manual hustler. I'm going to bring up the presentation that I've done so that you can kind of see it visually on the screen. This manual hustler is what a lot of you will be currently doing, where you're texting them everything that's going on. Every client has a unique experience, and that charm that you have of being able to sell someone into your service or program will quickly wear off when they start to realize that everything isn't actually going to go as smooth as they'd hoped or what they were sold in the front end. And the downfalls of that is a lot of the time you can have inconsistent or zero data of what's actually going on, and you become the bottleneck in your business. And the faster you become the bottleneck, the harder it's going to be for you to scale and actually take it to that next level. And as well, what's going to happen is that buyer's anxiety window is going to be unaddressed completely. That does mean you're going to increase the chances of having that refund. Basically, it's that. So we don't want that. Next, we're moving on to the level 2, and that's the systemizer. Now, the way that I see this and the way that we can already, in honestly 10 minutes, improve this is by creating 5 Kickstarter videos. And the way that I see these can work for basically every single coach. You might not need number 4, but that's okay. The first one is the welcome to the program. So whatever service, whatever coaching that you're providing, welcome them to that program and what's going to happen. That's where the second one is probably the longest video out of all of these, is what to expect. So now that they are inside of this program, what should they expect to get when it's happening? Do you host calls? Do you host live events? Do you have a workbook or resources that they have to do? What should they expect now that they have paid? The third one is a really important one that not many people think about, is how to be a great client. So how do you actually become a good client themselves so that they are setting the right expectations for you, you're setting the right boundaries for them, and also you can flip this and say how you're going to be a great provider for the service that you're actually offering. Fourth one, again, this is the one I said it might not be relevant to you, but this is tools and access. If you need specific tools, I work with systems, I kind of need access to certain things, so I create a video of what I need access to. And then finally, the next steps. What we're doing here is we're creating every single thing that our client does not need to think about what's going on. They know what's happening, when it's happening, how to be the great client, what they should expect. And it means that any questions that are going to come up, if you were to have an onboarding call or a kickoff call, they know what's going on. They already understand what's happening. And you can also create a rule that if they don't watch these videos, they can't book that onboarding call, meaning you can protect yourself on that front, that they have to put in the effort. And if they're not willing to, are they really the good person that you sold to? The third one is where we get into a little bit of the more complicated side of things, but actually taking the systems that we already use to bring them to automate them. Now, I've created some videos on here already about automations and how you can actually implement those into your business. And I'm going to be creating some more on how to do that. And as I said, I'll create a full onboarding video. But level 3 is taking that to the place where the things that can be manually processed and the things that can be easily sent out to clients can be done automatically rather than you. So this is like if you were to change a client in your CRM to closed, it would then send all the receipts of what you need. It would send an email to the client, giving them access to all those videos you shot in level 2. It would update your database inside of Notion to create your client portal for that individual. And it would send a message to your Slack team basically saying, hey, we've got everything that we need for this new client. Make sure to start the onboarding tasks with them. This gives you that opportunity to automate the things that don't need that human touch, and it can just be something that's matter of fact. It gets you moving, and it means that you can get to those quick wins far quicker than you would if you were to do everything manually. Now, there's three things that I always like to track when it comes to this side of things, because we could work on our onboarding as a whole, we could make that better, we could improve it massively, but what happens if we are not actually tracking what's becoming better and what we need to improve on a little bit further? So this is why I have three. So the time to win, this is the amount of time that you usually take for a client to get a win. This win doesn't have to be the craziest thing that you've seen in the world, but this win certainly has to happen as early as you possibly can. You could send them a book, you could send them a resource based on your sales call or your strategy call that you had with them. This could be literally anything that is going to get them a step closer to what you're providing and what you're selling. Maybe it's something that you think would be really beneficial for them. It could genuinely be something as simple as sending them a YouTube video that you saw that you think they should watch. This is just something that will allow the client to think, hey, this is awesome. I've actually really enjoyed this so far. The second one is time to book. If you're a coach, you're most likely going to be having some sort of onboarding call after they have paid their invoice. So the time in which it takes for them to do that is actually quite important. This is why thinking about how can we lower that time, or how can we make sure that by the time that they've purchased, they have everything they need in order to go through all your steps in level 2 of watching those videos and then booking in that call with you. So trying to lower that time, or at least get that time to a place where you are happy with, is really, really important. And the third is the confidence pulse. Now, this happens maybe 14 days after someone's purchased with you. And it's a really good way to get a pulse check on how that client is feeling so far and how confident they're feeling that they're going to get this result. If we've done the onboarding right, we're going to essentially want them to be in a place that they know they're in good hands, they know they can move forward, and they know they're going to get to the next level. So this is why doing a little confidence check of how are things going so far, is there anything I could do to improve? You're not only going to be able to get a little bit more of an honest answer if you do it on a call with them, but you're going to find ways in which you can improve the service for the next clients coming in. And if you've already done a good job in the onboarding and you also ask for open and honest feedback, this is going to be a great way to actually step into building more confidence in your service, because you're improving it with your existing clients. Before we get on to the final one of that level 4, we're going to want to think about the landmines that we can run into. And these are common issues that I see people do when they want to improve their onboarding, but they actually take it too far and they cause the onboarding to be pretty shit. The first one is they over automate rather than actually building something that's a personal experience. So we spoke about this prior. You want to create something where the automations are happening in the places that can be manually processed fairly easily. The downfall that people do is that they try to automate absolutely everything, and that leads to nothing becoming personable anymore. So you want to make sure that you're automating the things that you really don't need to be a part of, but keeping the personality of what someone's paying for, especially if they're getting access to you. The next one is dead air between steps. So something that a lot of the clients, when I was doing this speech last week, came up to me and said is that dead air between the steps is what they think is the biggest problem for them currently. This is a length of time after someone has purchased from you or after you've communicated with them that they are not hearing from you. And confidence is usually built in understanding in what's going on. Exactly why companies like Domino's and Uber now actually show you how far along the process is, so that you know exactly what's going to happen and when things are going to be arriving. That's what you want to do. It does not have to be the most groundbreaking update that you've ever given in your life, but by just reducing that dead air that you have can really put ease in your clients' minds. This is one I see a lot of people fall into, and it's form fatigue. Creating an onboarding form before that call that's 40 minutes long where they have to fill in everything. What I suggest you do is that if you have an onboarding form that you already use, go and fill it in yourself and tell me when you get bored. You are probably going to realize it'll be a lot sooner than you thought. You want to make sure that the questions that you're asking are the ones that give you the best data that you can, and you can ask the rest of them on the onboarding call that are essential. This is also why if you need them to do certain things, it can sometimes be better done on that onboarding call because you can get the back and forth conversation. Next up is calendar friction. Calendar friction is just you going back and forth. Are you free then? I'm not free. Are you free then? I'm not free. Just have something there people can book in, especially with clients, because you don't want to have that back and forth hell and just not enjoying actually booking in anything. This is one for those that are now expanding their offers and they're creating more and different and unique offers. By creating the generic sequences that are going on, you're not going to build that personality that the offer wants to have. So make sure that if you are creating onboardings, do create them slightly differently and add in a little bit of the flair for whatever that offer is. Don't keep everything the same. People are smart and they will catch that out and they'll see your lack of effort that you're willing to put in. Now the fixes for this, in order to make this work, add the human touch points at key points, one-click scheduling in the short form first and go deeper later. This is going to be the best thing that you can do for yourself and actually get to that next level with your onboarding. Finally, I'm going to go through level 4 and give you the next steps or the next 7 days that you can do this in order to make this happen for yourself. So day 1 is going to be mapping your onboarding window and what that looks like for your client. So when someone signs up with you to the onboarding being complete, what does that visually look like? What's that actually happening? Map that out and you're going to be able to see how you actually take that to the next level. Day 2, you're then going to build that portal. So your start here, your timeline, the support, the resources. If you have a place that people maybe watch resources or watch videos or categories and stuff like that, you're going to create a place that the client is going to have access to those when they become onboarded with you. Day 3 is going to record those videos that we talked about in that level 2 with those 5 different videos that you create. You're going to be able to over deliver really, really quickly. Keep them all less than 15 minutes, every single one of them together, not just each individual one, and that will over deliver like crazy. Day 4 is going to be looking at those automation side of things. If that's something you want help with, put a message in the comments, send me an email, and we can talk about these further. Day 5 is going to be building that kickoff form or calendar link as well. So if you need people to fill in information prior to your call, then make sure you build that form without the form fatigue and with actually getting the relevant information to then directly go on to booking a call with you. Day 6 is going to be adding 24 and 72-hour nudges and the day 7 check-in. So these nudges are just in case they haven't signed up yet, but you need them to and you need them to fill in information. Just little nudges to say, hey, I saw you haven't filled in that information yet. Could you get around to it ASAP so that we can get kickstarted? And then the day 7 check-in is the confidence pulse that we talked about. And finally, day 7 is testing with a dummy purchase, fix the friction. When you do anything for the first time, you're probably not going to get it spot on. That's okay. It just takes reps for you to do. So this is a great way to just test it with a friend, family member, anyone that you know, even an existing client, and just ask them to give you honest feedback on how it goes when they initially get it started. You can set up test payments inside of Stripe or any invoicing software that you're using, so you'll be able to actually test the full process for them and see how it flows. You can go through it yourself if you don't have anyone to do it, because you're then going to be able to see what it would be like if you were a client. This is genuinely one of the best ways that you can turn your service to something your competition will be scared to come up against. And this is purely because most people focus so heavily on bringing in clients, they kind of forget about all the little things that they should be doing for their clients that have paid you the money to actually work with you. People will constantly look at the new offer and the new offer and the new revenue that we can bring in, but forget that the people who have took the leap actually need the service that you are going to be providing. And by creating an onboarding, you instantly start yourself on the right foot rather than going for a further uphill battle. Fought everything in one in order to get to this stage. Don't ruin it and push the rock all the way back down the hill just because you were too lazy to make it actually impactful. If you want to see more of the delivery process side of things, let me know some of the areas you would like me to cover, as I do this regularly with clients and actually look at different points of their delivery system to be able to do that. If you're also wanting to join a newsletter that helps you scale your business through systems themselves using AI, automation, and all the newer softwares that you can use to amplify what you do, then join the newsletter down below. I've got it in the first link in the description. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch, and I'll see you there.